What's up? What's up? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. I'm GB. I got Brian and Coop with me. What's going on, guys?
Going on? All right.
Yeah, we're back at it. It's November 28th, 2023. We're talking NFL. We're talking a little bit of college and then a little bit about the in-season tournament because there's actually been some kind of good games around that thing. So starting with the league, man. Let's throw out the games from the last week and then we'll go to our teams and then we could talk about the next week. So
we'll start with Thanksgiving because there was some interesting stuff on Thanksgiving.
Let's do it.
Well, we can start with repaying some debts.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yes, let's start. That. Yes.
What were the bets for?
Well, so go ahead.
2 weeks ago was Baltimore, Cleveland. I had Baltimore. He had Cleveland. Cleveland won. This past week, we had who did we have? It was
Chargers in Baltimore. I had the Chargers plus 3.5. Still losing me games, Brian and Glenn, but I'm still taking them, right? Still losing me games.
Fool's bet.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, so me and Brian both have to do a shot. Glenn, I remember you said you was going to join whoever just to do one. So
discuss.
Here it is, fellas.
There it is. Yep.
All right.
Pay it up.
No doubt.
That wasn't bad. Yeah, that wasn't bad. Yeah.
I had some Casadoras, so
we're pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. You know what?
Jason, I'm not convinced.
I'm gonna start off with Green Bay and Detroit. I'm gonna just start with that morning game.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's the first one of the week.
A good win by Green Bay. To me, people say there's no such thing as a bad loss. All losses are the same. Not in my mind. Detroit proved they are not on the elite class of the NFC, losing this game at home this late in the season on a Thursday. I always say there's no excuse for the home team to lose this late in the season. I mean, beginning of the season, you have a Thursday game. Okay, it's not really an advantage. This time of year, it's an advantage. The Green Bay only has 1 day of practice. They got to travel, get all the logistics done, blah, blah, blah. Detroit, you're at home, sleeping in your own bed, practice on your own field. And then you come out like that with no pass rush. I said last week, their secondary, well, actually their defense as a whole just hasn't been good the last few weeks, about the last month or so. I've been seeing them get torched by a lot of different quarterbacks. And Jordan Love did the same thing. He made some nice throws against that defense. Helps when they don't have a pass rush because Detroit did not have a pass rush. But I give a lot of credit to Green Bay. They came out ready. They played hard. And Detroit, I mean, look, it's no excuse to lose to a 4-7, 4-6 team at home like this on Thanksgiving and think they're the elite class. Now, they still have an easy schedule for the rest of the season. They could end up with the number 1 seed, but I don't think they're that much of a threat in the playoffs like a lot of people want to make them seem. To me, this is the same old lines, but definitely a good season, but a bad loss and a good win by Green Bay. What you think, Brian?
I mean, look, it was an interesting game in that I don't think many people gave the Packers a huge chance, and they have managed to play all right. But I don't think that it eliminates the Lions. I mean, first of all, the Lions pretty much have an easy walk into the playoffs at this point because the Vikings can't do anything right and play on prime time. But we'll get to that later. So I think the Lions, need to just understand who they are, fix the mistakes. This has been more of an aberration for them. They are not the leaders in the NFL for turnovers like the Vikings are. So they've had, a bunch of turnovers over the course of the last couple of weeks. And, if they can rectify that, they can, play a little bit better as time goes on. It's better to find these problems now than to find them in a few weeks. But that being said, now the Packers are in the conversation for the 6th spot because there's literally nothing in the NFC beyond the division winners, excluding the South, which not even the division winners deserve to be in the playoffs. But anyways, it was more of an interesting game to watch than one that I think is going to have huge impacts going forward. I think the Lions are still going to make the playoffs and they'll figure out ways to shore it up. I think the Packers are still going to be up and down. Their defense will be playing all right. I think maybe Love has shown that he has some hope of developing, but I don't think that there's any huge ripples from this one.
Okay. What you think about Washington and Dallas?
So I didn't watch this game very closely because it was kind of out of hand early. And the Cowboys, clearly were at a different level than Washington. Prescott throwing for 331 and 4 TDs. That's video game numbers. He's done that before. It's interesting to see them do it again. It's hard to believe because this isn't a Dak Prescott we haven't seen before. He has had these moments where he blows up and starts playing this outstanding football and everyone gets real excited. And then the Cowboys lose the wild card game in the first round of the playoffs. So this isn't something like we've seen them turn a corner. We've seen them get to the point where they're better. I just think that this is just, what you expect from the Cowboys at this point in the season. They're going to find a way. They're not going to get a bye first week. They're going to play the first weekend. They're going to probably be a wild card team, given what Philly's likely to be able to do with the rest of their season. And, this is par for the course.
Yeah, Cowboys are like the Buffalo Bills for the last 2 years. They play a bad team and they just beat the hell out of them. Dak Prescott's been on a good run after the 49ers game. They played the Chargers, they played the Rams, a little hiccup against the Eagles, and they played the Giants, Panthers, and now the Admiral or Commanders. So a lot of bad teams, and Dak is putting up the numbers. I mean, good for him. But the next few weeks, they got Seattle, they got the Eagles, they got the Bills, they got the Dolphins. So we'll see if those numbers continue. Watching this game, Brian, it made me think, why does Ron Rivera still have a job? I don't understand why.
I told you
coaching. Why. Yeah, why?
The only reason to fire him in the middle of the season is if you want to find out if the defensive coordinator is a real viable option as coach.
No, you mean offensive
everyone
coordinator,
hates
right?
him. No, it's
Bieniemy, right?
Bieniemy. And because everybody on the team hates him, and they pretty much come to the conclusion he can't be the next guy, even though the defense is actually playing pretty well. But everyone hates him. What's the point?
So my thing is just like this: is when
they're not keeping him after this year. I'll tell you that.
Correct. My thing is, again, we'll talk about coaches getting fired later, but when you have 3 winning seasons in past 13 years, it's just time to give it up. I mean, it's just time to just cut the cord. And I'm with you. It probably doesn't make any sense to do it now, do it in the season, but that was just my thought during the game. Like, why does this guy still have a head coaching job? I mean, seriously, but yeah. So, and moving on to the 49ers in Seattle. So, Brian, I have to admit something. I was all set to take Seattle in my point spread league, but you said something in the last podcast that you were taking the 49ers -7. Because of what you said, it made me dig deep, and I ended up putting a bet on the 49ers in the game. And what I unveiled was, I know you were taking 49ers because you said Geno and Chardonnay were hurt. To me, they're not really difference makers. I didn't really care if they were hurt or not. I just saw Seattle as a very overrated team to me, and I ended up taking the 49ers -7 based on you. I started doing research on this game, and they ended up covering by 18. Seattle didn't score an offensive touchdown. Brock Purdy kind of gifted one to them, but Seattle is another team. I'm not saying they're like, well, actually, they beat the hell out of Detroit earlier this year. It's just one of those teams that just not upper echelon NFC, but have the goods to probably have a decent season. Not bad enough to get a top tier player, but not, good enough to actually make a serious deep playoff run. That's all I took from the game. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, look, no, they're the 6th spot right now because the Vikings can't get their head out of their ass. But other than that, the Seahawks are about where you would expect them to be at 6-5. And I disagree a little bit. Charbonnet is young and hasn't quite figured it out and didn't play well. That was a big factor. But, they depend on their running game. They have always, the Pete Carroll offense is pound the ball and use the quarterback, whoever it is, Russell Wilson, Geno, or whatever. That's one of the reasons why Wilson wanted to get out, to make strategic passes in moments where they needed big completions. And they have good receivers at Lockett and with Lockett and DB, was it DK? And so, they are not good enough or deep enough to be able to overcome that. Even with Geno ultimately playing poorly, they didn't have a chance against a 49er team that's hot. I know that this game is sometimes harder, but it was pretty clear to me, at least to me, that this was going to be one of those games where the 49ers look like world beaters.
Yeah, I had a lot of free time on my hands this weekend, fellas. So I watched a lot of football, a lot of games, and a couple of games I just want to talk about. And Brian, you can scroll through a few of you as well. I also want to talk about Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Look, Pittsburgh fired their offense coordinator, Matt Canada. Okay, I'm not saying he should have kept his job. He had 0 games of 400 yards of offense out of 44. That's pathetic. And 1 300-yard passing game. I mean, he was bad.
First time, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
And the minute he leaves, they got offense.
Well, they had 400 yards of offense the minute he left. Yeah, but they only scored 16 points and they were celebrating. I don't know what the hell's going on when you score 16 points and celebrate. But the reason why offense coordinators get fired
used to being something, man.
The reason why offense coordinators get fired because you don't have a quarterback that's good. And look, I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to win the division. I was wrong about that about 5 weeks ago. Kenny Pickett is just not, bottom line, he's just not good. When you have these non-talented guys you draft in the first round, like Kenny Pickett, Johnny Manziel, a Christian Ponder, a Baker Mayfield, everything around them, Alex Smith, everything around them has to be completely perfect. And they don't have everything perfect there in Pittsburgh, and it's just not going to work out. He's going to have a long leash, unfortunately. And then another thing I noticed, I don't know if you watch Pittsburgh games, you guys, but there's a running back named Jalen Warren, and he's clearly better than Najee Harris. I don't know why they keep taking him off the field, but every time this guy's on the field, he always does something, but they always bring Najee Harris back. But that's one thing I noticed with a couple things I noticed with Pittsburgh. You got a game, Brian, that you looked at?
No, on the Pittsburgh game, I think the reason why Najee keeps on getting in is he's actually a better pass protector, and they feel like Pickett needs that extra protection. I think that's kind of why that's going that way. And then also again, and especially in a game against the Bengals, who do have a very solid defense, and you're able to stick with it even with Jake Browning in the game. Anyways.
But you want to do before I got one more before we move on to Kansas City, Las Vegas. Please don't think any less of me. I watched the entire New York Giants game. That game was completely pathetic. And the only reason I watched is because I wanted to see this quarterback, DeVito. I don't even know his first name for the Giants. I just want to see how he was just watching him. And he is not very good. I don't think he'll be the starter when he comes back next year. I just don't see it.
Of course not.
They scored New England did everything they could to give this game away. And I'm glad you guys didn't watch because Bailey Zappi and what's his name, Mac Jones. I don't even know why Mac Jones is still starting in the NFL. They suck. Both of them took turns throwing interceptions. I mean, I said before the season started, he's going to get Bill Belichick fired. Bill Belichick, I don't think is going to be the coach next year because of Mac Jones. Seriously, I think that. But I wasted my time watching that game. I got what I needed.
I don't know. I think that if Belichick gets one of the two quarterbacks in Williams or May, that might give him an excuse in his own mind to keep moving forward because he really wants the record. And if he really believes, with only 2 wins, they have an outside chance at something there.
He gets the record.
And he gets May, who he probably likes. I could possibly see him keep on going, but yeah. Obviously, if he had to coach Zappi or
Mac Jones,
Mac Jones, I think he'd just move on.
Terrible. Yeah.
What's the record?
Like 382 wins or something like that with Don Shula, something like that. I think he's 16 wins away. I'm about to look it now.
3 years of like 10 wins away or 9 wins or something like that, but they haven't been able to get anywhere close for 2 years.
Don Shula has 347, and Bill Belichick has 331. So he's close. It's close, getting close, but he can always do it with another team. But so those are the games. If we want to go to the late night game or later games, we could start with Kansas City, Vegas. I know Glenn predicted I think a 10-point Vegas victory.
17. I had 17-14.
17. Oh, 17.
They started out. Okay. They started out all right, and then second half was all slow, and all the adjustments was gone, or no adjustments were made. So
it was 14-0, right?
Yeah, they were cooking it. We did this multiple years in a row. Get up on them quick, and then second half come around, or even going into the second half, we just can't get anything going. So I think the main thing I was picking up, because we talked about this game a lot. I was at home, so I was talking to mom, talking to the homie Ed. We was talking about this game a lot. But I don't think the Raiders are as far away as people would like to say, because it's the Raiders, right? Like, the defense has played solid. They didn't play all that good this week, but they played solid the weeks before. We have offensive talent. You just need a QB. So I don't know that Aiden, you have to get rid of him, but you need somebody to. I think this team could have at least made it into the playoffs with a solid quarterback, and we never got any quarterback play all year. Aiden is learning. I'm not saying to throw him out. I'm just saying he's a rookie, a rookie that was never intended to start any of these games, that's trying to figure it out on the fly. And it's kind of costing games, right? We could have won that Miami game with a little bit of ball movement. We definitely could have won that game. So is what it is. I wasn't like surprised that we lost. I think Andy Reid has the second most wins in Allegiant Stadium, and Mahomes is undefeated in Allegiant also. I think he's lost once to the Raiders since he's been there. He's 10-1 or 11-1 now. So wasn't anything too surprising. We was hoping for more, but it is what it is.
Ryan, any thoughts?
No, I mean, it was kind of what you would expect. I actually, the Chiefs are not the team that I think kind of runs up scores. And ultimately, they kind of were able to make it a more convincing win because of the fourth quarter. But for most of that game, it was a game. The Chiefs did what they do so frequently, which is they play close to teams, and a couple different things went against the Raiders, and ultimately that was enough to cause the Chiefs to be able to find a way to get a little bit of a cushion at the end and win probably more convincingly than they might otherwise.
Yep. No penalties for the Raiders either, which was cool. But
the entire game,
no penalties, and that
Go
Chiefs
ahead.
team wasn't. I wasn't impressed by what I was seeing. I'll put it like that. They're going to win because they're a good team. You can make things happen. But if you're a playoff team watching the Chiefs, you're not going to be. That was a great game to watch and be like, oh yeah, we could beat them.
So I don't know if you guys knew this. I don't know if you knew this, but there was every week TCL and this one company does some type of big crazy play or bet where they offer 7,000 TVs, and so this time they offered like 7,095-inch TVs if there was a score in the Miami game of over 98 yards. And it had literally not happened. It was like a 1 in 1 million chance. Well, as you all probably know, there was the pass into the end zone and the 99-yard run back. So it cost this company who made the big promotion $1 million.
Damn.
The only bet that I think might have been crazier is to bet the Raiders for zero penalties for 0 yards.
No penalties.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I had to look it up myself. 0 for 0.
So I look at this game a little bit.
Penalties in the whole game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I look at this game a little bit different. So, Glenn, they were up 14-0, and then KC went on the 31-3 run. How can you be I'm asking this question. How can you be optimistic when in this game the Raiders only scored 3 points in the second half? Last game they didn't score anything in the second half, and against the Jets they only scored 10 points in the second half. How are you so confident in the offense and they're clearly not scoring in second half of games when adjustments need to be made?
Well, I said they need a quarterback, 1, and 2, the Chiefs hadn't scored in the second half of many games. People were still optimistic about them. You need a quarterback. I would say that the Niners haven't beat the Chiefs since they've been alive
For forever.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
forever.
so it's just something that happens. I don't think when you play a team like, regardless of feelings on it, they're defending Super Bowl champions. So I just thought that the defense was playing better the previous weeks. And if we could have, and we started out hot, and if we could have kept them, kept the score a little closer, I thought we had a chance. But once they got rolling, it was going to be all bad. And it just wasn't the offense I saw from the Chiefs. It looked lazy. But they're the Chiefs, so they can pull this off. I just don't know if that's going to work long term, but they kind of do this during the middle of the season anyway, coast along.
Yeah, they do it every year. Yeah.
I just think we need the rest of the offense is, you have players on the offense there. It's just you got to get it to work. That's all it is. I mean, you got players on our offense. It's just you're in there with a rookie who's trying to figure it out, who was never intended to start any games here. Let's be honest with it, right? You had a quarterback
and you have a coach.
He was a third string quarterback, right? It's like he was taking reps in training camp. He's played 5 games and kind of been thrown out there. That first game, McDaniels threw him out there on some see what you could do, kid. So I just think you need a quarterback, honestly. Like if we had a solid QB right now, I think we'd be having a different conversation.
Well, I guess Justin Fields will be available. We'll talk about that later.
Don't do that.
All right. All right. Anybody watch Buffalo Philly?
Don't be disappointed if he gets there.
Yes.
That was a really good game. My whole
Yeah, that
thing
was
is I
crazy.
think Buffalo had that. And then I don't know why teams do it. I will never understand it. Buffalo was in their defense. They were playing, I guess, pretty decent in the second half, but then they went into prevent. And you go into prevent against Philadelphia, you just allowing yourself to get scored on. And Philly made a run in the overtime, and that was it. That was a hell of a field goal kick at the end of the game to send it to overtime. Well, and actually was sent over. It was a field like 59-yard
Yeah,
field goal or something like that.
tied up. Yeah.
Yeah, tied up. But yeah, Philly, they went to prevent, and I was like, yeah, this game is over. And Philly just got yards, and Jalen took it in, and it was a wrap. But that was a really good game. Really good.
Really good. And how often do you see a Buffalo team with 505 yards of total offense lose? I mean,
Against Kansas City. That's it.
Yeah.
No,
That's it.
with 500 yards of offense, that's
Yeah.
like the number. I think they were talking about the number of times that a team with that much offense has lost is you can count on one hand.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the stats and all that kind of stuff, but it was great to watch. It was really entertaining.
Yeah, it was
definitely.
I thought Philly was going to win, but I thought before the game, but I was not exactly convinced as they were getting closer to the end because I thought the Bills might have figured something out. They were playing really great.
Look, Philly's been playing it like this all season. They haven't put together 4 good quarters all year, but it seems like every single time when they have to make a play or do something, get a stop, get a touchdown, do something, pass, run, they always seem to get it, and they're pulling these games out. And for them, they're going to get the number one, probably most likely get the number 1 seed because of it, because they're just finding ways to pull these games out.
Super Bowls, though.
They're just pulling it out.
Things break their way. Like, you have to be really, really good to win a Super Bowl, but you also have to have things break your way. And what has happened for Philly this year is a pretty good example of things breaking their way.
Yep.
Yeah, really.
Yep.
Any thoughts I got on the Chargers and Baltimore game?
You can only talk about the Ravens. You can't talk about the other team.
I just can't talk extensively. I can't talk extensively, which I'm not.
Yeah, I thought there was a fork in them again.
There is.
And they lose again, and you
Which
continue
means,
to bet on them again.
So next week he's going to pick them to win again.
Every time.
So the Chargers, yeah. So my takeaway from the game? Well, Chargers receivers could not separate. They clearly missed Mike Williams and the other guy. They couldn't get any separation. Like every time they showed a receiver going out, there was 1 or 2 Baltimore guys right there. But my takeaway from this game is I really don't see Baltimore winning the Super Bowl, because this is maybe my 3rd or 4th time watching them this year. Their offense is just too stagnant for long stretches of games, and it was the same thing in this game. Their offense is just stagnant for just too long a period without doing anything. Now it helped they were playing against the Chargers and some other teams, but I just don't see it. I can't see an offense that's just that stagnant for too long, making any noise, true noise in the playoffs to make a deep playoff run. Brian, did you watch it?
I did. I'm not sure that I think they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. I don't think that the stagnant offense is the problem. I think that they play in a fully loaded AFC with Bills playing well and the Chiefs obviously still being very strong, and there's just a lot of strength in the AFC. So I do think that it's going to be really tough to get there. But I think the main problem is, who are the wide receivers on this team? I mean, they are just not. OBJ is not the same guy. They just really don't have. They have names at the skill positions, but not players, if that makes sense. And I just think that ultimately they're going to have to figure it out. And that obviously is in alignment with what you were saying for how stagnant they are. But it just seems like, when your leaders are Isaiah Likely and Mitchell on the offense for your talent, your skill positions, that's a problem.
Hey, they got OBJ. Everybody hyperventilated over that.
Hey, Zay Flowers is nice. He's just young.
He's just 5'8".
Yeah,
but
he's scoring
5'7" probably.
Top.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, now Brian, we saved the best for last. Chicago versus Minnesota. Last night's game. Go ahead, take it away.
First of all, what is it? The first time in Bears history that they've won without scoring a touchdown. this was not a good game to watch. The only reason for people to have watched it is if you were a Bears fan or a Vikings fan or waiting to talk shit about to me the next day.
It was Monday night too, Brian. It was Monday night too. That's why I watched it. Yeah.
But that was the problem, right? Like that. Like I told you, we've talked about this so much. Here's what I've come to the conclusion. I apologize, Kirk Cousins. It is not that you can't play on on prime time. It's that the Vikings can't play on prime times. It does not matter who is the quarterback because Josh Dobbs did his best Kirk Cousins on prime time impression with 4 interceptions. And then, for all the talk throughout the week that Ty Chandler was going to get a real opportunity, he only got 4 carries for 8 yards, and Ad Madison did his usual, disappearing act and couldn't do the big plays when he needed them. But I don't understand how we lost this game. I am incredibly thankful that we have far less primetime games. I am putting it in right now. We are losing to the Packers on the New Year's Eve and the night game because there's nothing more prime time than the damn night game on New Year's Eve. We can't win primetime games. And it's going to be a game that we probably need to win because if the Packers keep on winning, that could be the difference between the 6th and the 7th spot or even the 8th spot in for playoffs with 2 weeks left. But that game is what, 4 weeks away. I can safely say that in 2 weeks, I like our chances against the Raiders, and we'll talk sure about that. I like our chances against the Bengals, and I like our chances even against the Lions. But I don't like our chances at all against the Packers.
Yeah, so I was at happy hour watching this game, and a few of us.
I'm sorry. Hopefully, we get free shots for every.
A few of us were sitting there and wanted to turn the channel. Well, we really did, but we watched this game. I'm not even gonna lie. Watch the game. Look, I'm gonna defend. I'm gonna talk about Minnesota and Chicago. Look, I'm gonna defend Josh Dobbs here. Look, he had a bad game. He's a backup though. And not every game is gonna be great. Not every game is gonna be this bad. Okay, but is a backup. Backups have this kind of game at times. I still think Minnesota is not in bad shape. You roll him out there for the next few weeks and see what happens, but he's definitely not going to be your starter going into next year, but he's also a high-end backup as well. And then somebody was saying, I said that somebody, it was like, well, Brock Purdy was a 3rd stringer and the 49ers didn't skip a beat. Well, that's an exception, not the rule. Just like drafting your franchise all-time quarterback in the 6th round like Tom Brady. That's not something that happens all the time. It's just an exception, not the rule. I don't think Josh Dobbs is that bad, but yes, he's definitely a backup.
Well, but don't you have to block for them? Isn't that important as a quarterback to have some sort of blocking? The man was 1 second.
100% true.
I mean, damn.
100% true.
Yeah.
But our line was abysmal.
Yeah, both lines were terrible. Abysmal. That was so bad. Like there was no time to throw. So I don't even know you can evaluate either quarterback in that game. That was
you can.
Crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah, you can evaluate. You can definitely evaluate Justin Fields. There's plenty of games to evaluate him. But I'm going to talk about Eberflus first.
Aren't you going to protect him like you protected Dobbs?
No. Come on now.
No.
One guy's a 1st round pick. Everybody tried to tell me how good he was. But I'm just talking about Eberflus, the coach of the Chicago Bears. And Troy Aikman had me pissed off talking about he should get another year and blah, blah, blah. I understand for Troy Aikman. He probably holds him dear in his heart because he was a former Cowboy assistant. But dude lost 14 straight games, okay? Once you start entering Hugh Jackson territory for consecutive losses, it's time to go. It's time. You can't coach. Talk about Frank Reich a little bit later. That's another guy. It's time to go. Now, here is proof right here. Reason number, 1,278,000 why Justin Fields isn't the guy. His defense gave him 4 interceptions, and he still couldn't score a touchdown. This is in addition to the fact he's not a natural quarterback. Throws the ball in the wrong spot. Inaccurate. Holds it too long. Takes sacks. Doesn't see open receivers. There's so many things that people want to defend Justin Fields for, and I'm telling all of you, you can defend Fields and Eberflus. Both are going to be available at the end of the season because Chicago isn't bringing them back, okay? Chicago's quarterback next year is going to be from USC, 6'1", maybe 210. His name is Caleb Williams. The only question for this team is who's going to be the coach. Personally, I would go after Detroit Lions offense coordinator because I feel, look, if you can make Jared Goff useful, you're going to love being with Caleb Williams. That's just my personal opinion. But, yeah, so – that's how I feel about the Bears. Season's over. All Justin Fields is doing now is auditioning for the next team that's not high enough in the draft to get an elite quarterback, but still needs a quarterback. That's all he's doing. They're both gone. That's my take on the game.
So before we go on to this week's game, can we talk about the playoff picture in the NFC, which is kind
Let's
of
do it.
weird. So, I think we all know that, Philly, San Francisco, Atlanta,
I don't know if we know Atlanta.
From
Yeah.
the NFC, someone from the South.
Right. There you go.
No one cares about with a losing record.
There you go.
The Cowboys. And then there's a 6th spot, right? So I think Detroit's going to get the 3rd spot.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the 6th spot, which the Seattle Seahawks currently have, right? And the Vikings are right behind them. And the Seattle Seahawks, even though they currently hold the 6th spot, are, I think, like only a 40% chance to make the playoffs, where the Vikings are still in the 70%, even though they've lost 2 games straight. I looked at the schedule coming up, and it makes more sense. So the next few games for the Seattle Seahawks are the Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles.
Yikes.
I don't see them winning any of those games.
Yep.
And I feel like either the Vikings or Seattle need to win at least 3, but probably 4 of their remaining games to get to 10-7. Would be about the spot that I would think you might want to be. So, but the Packers, on the other hand, have a ridiculously easy schedule outside of the Chiefs. And they can afford one more loss and still get to 10-7. But they can beat the Giants, they can beat the Bucs, they can beat the Panthers. The Panthers are probably going to be motivated.
Yeah.
They can beat the Vikings because it's a primetime game. And then they finish the season against the Bears, who will probably want to lose at that point in time. And anyone who's even got a bruise will probably be held out of that game. So what do you think? Who do you think gets the 6 or 7? Because I feel like 1, 2, 3, and 5 are all locked. Who's in 4 is irrelevant.
Okay. So I'm telling you right now, I didn't have Seattle Seahawks making the playoffs before the season, so I got them out. I don't get them in. I don't even think Atlanta's going. I think Atlanta's going to do something to trick it off. I really do, and I think that New Orleans is going to get in. So I got Philly.
I thought so too.
But who cares? Yeah.
I got
as far as that one goes, right?
So you want to know of the bottom 3 I got?
The 6th seed. I think the 6th seed is probably one of the more interesting in the NFC.
So let me tell you the last 2 I got in. The last 2 I got in are I got the Vikings. I got them in. I still got them in. And I have the Rams. Got the Vikings and Rams. I don't have Green Bay in. I don't have Green Bay. I got the Vikings and the Rams in the last 2 spots.
How far are the Rams out?
They have the same record as Green Bay.
Got it.
Yep.
I don't know who they play, but interesting.
Yep. Yeah, with the Vikings right now, I still have a 58% chance it's down. It was in the 80s. 58% chance. But Philly's at 99, San Francisco's at 99, Cowboys are at 99, Detroit is at 97, and then the odds makers have the Vikings at 58 and the Saints at 50, with Atlanta at 48.
Okay, now you brought up something, Brian. Green Bay, they do have an easy schedule. Let's just say they make the playoffs. Do you bring back Jordan Love next year?
Of course.
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess we'll have a better shot on that one.
Of course.
No,
I think they're going to sniff around.
Who, Jason?
I think they're going to sniff around.
He's had 300-yard games. This is what they
make the
what
playoffs.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are they going to be? They're going to be the 12th, 13th pick, because they'll be like the last team in, kind of a situation, right? 13th, 14th pick ish area, 12, 13, 14. Who do you get? May's gone. The dude from
no, I'm not talking about a draft. I think they might get somebody that's already in the NFL. I'm not talking about a draft pick. I think he's gone. That's just my personal opinion. I think no matter what happens this year, I just think he's gone. But we'll see. Of course.
Oh, yeah,
I think no matter what, he's out.
Yeah, this is how they've been doing. They've had you sit out behind a Hall of Famer, and then you come in. He has the same start as Aaron Rodgers did when he first started his career too. So,
that is
like
true.
Exactly the same start. Wins. yards, touchdowns, the
Yeah,
whole thing.
I don't like looking at those stats, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It is kind of
But they're going to
identical.
look at those stats, and I think that they're going to give them.
Yeah, he hasn't been as terrible as you want to make him. He's won games. He's thrown touchdowns. You know, he's been all right. So especially with who they have, was it Watson and Dobbs? Is it? So yeah. Word.
All right.
What about this week?
I would laugh real hard, by the way, if the Rams make it. I mean, if you want a better shot on that one, because
no, I ain't betting no shot on the Rams. Not at all. I definitely agree with you. They're not good.
All right. So
we're going next week.
Talk about this week coming up.
Yeah, we can just go down the schedule.
I get a bye week. Get a week off.
You guys don't play?
I'm gonna go try and find some golf to play on Sunday.
Oh yeah, we're off too. That's interesting.
We come back. We both come back from our bye weeks to play.
Oh, nice.
All right. Well, let's start with Seattle and Dallas. That's a Thursday game. Dallas -9.
Dallas.
Yeah, I'll take Dallas.
Yeah. Dallas been killing in these kind of games. Like when they're supposed to win these games against kind of lesser competition, they usually cook.
It's a home game.
Yeah.
This game is made for Dallas.
Yep.
To score a lot of points, and to easily cover the 9.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go there as well. A sneaky, interesting game is Denver and Houston, both 6-5.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the Texans every time, not just because of Denver, but I just like what Houston is doing. I know the Broncos are on a 5-game winning streak and all that, but they're due for it. And the Texans have been playing pretty good, especially at home.
What about you, B?
I have to believe that there's something going on in Denver right now, and I will ride I wouldn't call them hot. The tepidly warm, scrappy team. I will take the Broncos and the 3.5 points. If the Texans win by 3, I will still claim victory. 2.5, I might be the other direction. 3.5, I'm good with the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm not there yet to take Houston as a favorite. I went against them 2 weeks ago against Arizona when they were favored by 6. Can't do it. They're favored by 3.5. I'm taking Denver outright to win the game and to cover, but I think they're gonna win regardless of the spread. What about?
I want your opinion, because I want to hear you say it so I can mess with you next week.
Come on.
Chargers versus Patriots.
Oh, I'm taking the Chargers. I watched the Patriots. Oh yeah, I'm taking the Chargers.
I just wanted to hear you take the Chargers one more time, man.
He keeps doing it.
He put a fork in him, but that fork keeps on coming back up.
Bro.
It's still a fork in him.
He's got.
That's one of his
got
favorites.
Ezekiel Elliott's fork, man.
But I put a fork in New England too. This is 2 forks. I gotta pick somebody. I'm taking the Chargers. You
love the Chargers on the low.
No, I don't love them
because of Justin Herbert, who throwing picks too. But
it was Chargers -6. You're still there, huh?
Oh yeah, I've seen New England. Yeah. I've seen New England way too much. Yeah.
All right, you can move on. I just needed to hear him say that.
For
I knew
sure.
That's what he was gonna say.
No, and just like I know what you're going to say on this one, San Francisco versus Philly. San Francisco is now from 1.5 to -3 in
you're
Philly.
Practically going to say the same damn thing. I'm taking Philly. You're going to give me a 10-1 team and give me points at home?
Yeah, damn right.
Yes, thank you. I will.
Okay, and I'll take the #1 offense in the league versus a bad linebacker crew and overrated secondary and number 17 defense in the league. Yes, I'm taking them. I'm taking the Eagles. They're going to have to play 4 good quarters to beat the 49ers, and they haven't played 4 good corners all season. And the 49ers, and Brian, the 49ers are just a better team. It's just better.
The weather? What's the weather?
It should be rain.
Yeah, y'all gonna lose. McCaffrey's got to be on his toes, man.
No, it's supposed to be cold but sunshiny. Actually,
I ain't worried about it.
McCaffrey got to be on his toes, man.
We're more than McCaffrey. I ain't worried about that game, man.
You're not worried about McCaffrey.
I ain't.
Absolutely not.
I ain't worried about it.
You're fooling yourself if you believe
that. If McCaffrey's not in the game, they don't win.
Take your team in a big game.
McCaffrey played against them playoffs. We didn't have a quarterback. I ain't worried about McCaffrey. I'm worried about our quarterback being upright against the defense.
This is the only reason anything on your team.
Yeah, I was gonna say McCaffrey's not out there. You haven't won a game without him. So
the only thing that scares me, I'm not gonna lie, in this game is what I saw was Brock Purdy is #1 in a lot of statistics, but he's playing behind the 5th worst pass blocking offensive line in the league. That scares me a little bit because he's going to need time. If he has time, we should put up a good 27 against that defense, 27, 30 points. If he doesn't have time, it could be deja vu all over again. He get hit and it's all bad. So I'm just hoping the line
Yeah.
can block. That's the only thing that scares me this game, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You know, McCaffrey's gonna run 30 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't think so.
if I didn't know anything about the 49ers, I would still take a 10-1 team getting points at home.
Vegas wants you to. That's why they put that
100%.
line out. They want you to take Philly. A lot of people are
100%.
going to take them. Yep. That's all right. We'll see next week, though. Should be good. Should be good.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, y'all teams don't play. That's real talk. Let's look at the schedule.
Yeah, we play each other.
They put both the buys this week, and then we play each other next week.
Okay. All right. You guys going to the game?
That's the goal.
We've bounced back and forth a couple different times. Right now, we are on the going point. I'm going to Vegas at this point because I bought tickets on Spirit Airlines, and they're basically about to strap me with a belt.
That's what I was telling them. You ain't sitting, bro. You're gonna be like on the MARTA train, bro, holding the
Literally, I've never seen anything this cheap in my life. It was $80 round trip.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Okay.
No, I haven't flown Spirit.
Yeah.
I heard it's
100%.
fine. It's a short flight. You'll be fine. Ain't that big a deal.
100%.
Cool.
Good.
Any other games? Any other games, Coop? Before we slide?
No, that's it. Let's go to college, man, because there was some action, man.
Yeah,
especially with that
man?
Alabama-Auburn game. I don't know if you guys saw that.
That was crazy. I saw the end of it. I saw the very end.
I watched it, but I watched it because I just I watched it knowing that I was going to be disappointed.
I'm with you. I want Alabama to lose, but these games get weird. And just when you thought Auburn was going to win, I said, wait, hold up. And it's 4th and 25, 4th and 30. Guy throws it up in the back of the end zone. Auburn had 8-9 defenders in coverage. And this one guy had his back turned, and it was a good pass, and
crazy
guy caught it, and yeah, it was crazy, man. I just can't believe Auburn lost that. Well, I can't believe Auburn lost that game, and this is why Alabama, I told people, gets the benefit of the doubt a lot because of games like this. The games they should lose, they end up finding some way to win. That's why they always get the benefit of the doubt, no matter how good or bad or not as good the team is. And it sucked to watch it, but it happened. It happened. Did you? How about that Ohio State Michigan game, Brian? I
didn't see it. I saw the ending though. I mean, I saw how the game ended. I didn't see the game.
It was a really great game, back and forth. It was a lot of fun to watch. This is exactly the kind of game that you would expect from two top teams just slugging it out. And I think the better team found a way to win in the end. I've been saying for a long time, I think Michigan might be the best team in football. And even without their coach, they won a huge, very tough game. And congratulations to them. But this was a fun game to watch. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why people want to watch college football. Alabama, Auburn too, to some extent, but big games, big teams playing big games in with big moments that are top ranked. Like that's college. That's the fun of watching college football. A 2-3 matchup between Ohio State and Michigan without the coach and everything else. That's the stuff that makes it.
Yeah, I had Michigan this game. Ohio State, to me, since Ryan Day's got there, is a little bit soft. They're kind of a soft team. But you kind of expect that because he's a Chip Kelly disciple, and his teams were a little bit soft as well, more finesse. They got skill players, wide receivers, great, woohoo. But to win these type of games and then, to win national championships, you got to be tough in the trenches. And I saw a stat, Brian. I don't know if you saw it too. The last 21 times before this game, the last 21 times these teams have played, the team that had the most rushing yards won every single time. And it was no exception this game too. Michigan has the better running game. They ran for more yards, and then they ended up winning the game. Michigan, they ran the ball 26 straight times against Penn State a couple of weeks ago. This is what they do. They run. They're physical. It's a Jim Harbaugh coach team. It's just how he gets down. And if you can't stop it, he's going to run it down your throat. And that's what they did. And they ended up winning the game. Good win for Michigan. But Brian, I do want to ask you a question. I don't think, even though Florida State's undefeated, I don't think Florida State's going to get into the national playoff picture because their starting quarterback is gone for the year.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I think they're going to find a way to move somebody up and take their spot, whether they win or not.
I think 100% I agree with you. But what I think is this week, right? I was actually going to talk to you about this. There's 5 conference championships, and almost all of these are kind of a given. Florida State's going to whoop Louisville's butt,
Michigan's definitely going to beat Iowa. Yeah,
right. Michigan's definitely be Iowa. There's only 2 games that are contested. And both of them, if they run the odds and the percentages, are going the opposite of what you would expect. Here's what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, if this is ESPN doing their predictive analysis, Oregon has a 70% chance to beat Washington.
Okay. Correct.
Okay. So 11-1 team, 12. If Washington loses, they're out the playoffs. Oregon's out the playoffs likely. The other one, of course, is Alabama versus Georgia. Georgia is favored to win it, but not by a very large percentage.
Right.
And Alabama has been hot. If Alabama beats Georgia, well, now you have a probably undefeated Florida State team. How do you keep them out?
Yeah.
With Michigan and Ohio State only having lost to Michigan. So this weekend's conference championship games could actually be very, very impactful on how it all shifts out, just because of the Washington-Oregon game and the Alabama-Georgia.
So I know how you feel about the college football playoff 4 teams and how they feel about the Pac-12, but I really think the winner of the Washington-Oregon game gets in. I really do. Last year, the Pac-10, I really do think the winner of that game gets in. I think also, I don't think Alabama should get in, but if they beat Georgia, I think they will get in. I don't think it'll be 2 SEC teams. I think it'll just be 1 Georgia. I think Michigan beats Iowa because they can't score more than 13 points. You got the winner of the Washington-Oregon game. They get in. Now, Florida State, if they lose, because I could see some shenanigans going on just to, whatever. But if they win, I think they'll find a way to get Texas to jump them. I seriously do. I think they'll be out.
I think Ohio State's the team that I think that they would like to see back in there, just because I think they're really good. They're ranked 6th right now.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of right behind Oregon. And I hate to say it, but there's a reason why the Pac-12 is going away, and it's because they don't get these shots. Of course, the winner of the Washington-Oregon game should be in the playoffs. Exactly why I said that each conference champion, right? My old strategy was 8. You put the 5 power conferences, their conference champions in there, and then 3 play-ins, and you get an 18 playoff. That's what I thought should have happened. The reason for that is that there always seems to be something where the Pac-12 beats up on itself and everybody else takes an opportunity, and then teams like Texas and Ohio State find ways above Oregon and Washington.
Oh, good.
But it'll be fun. It'll be a good weekend of football.
Yeah, it'll be good. Definitely.
Nice.
Any thoughts, GB?
I don't really watch college, man.
Okay. All right. College is the second most watched sport in America, just to let you know.
Yeah, I'm back in the Bay, so it's golf time and all that. So I won't see
that.
Back on the course. Cool. What about B? You mentioned something about the play-in game today, man. Break that down for us.
Yeah. So the in-season tournament is over. I mean, not over, but we're into the playoffs. The in-season season is over. The Lakers have made it. The Pelicans, the Kings, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Indiana Pacers. But one thing that was really interesting was that, and I don't know if anyone got to see this, and there's been clips on ESPN since it happened, but the Boston Celtics were up 30 in a normal regular season game against the Bulls, and in the fourth quarter, they were intentionally fouling Andre Drummond, and Billy Donovan, the Chicago coach, was upset and went over to Missoula and was like, "What the hell are you doing? Intentionally fouling players and not taking people out in the fourth quarter of a game. You're up 30." And he had to go, and he did it very calmly. He explained to him that not only did they have to win the game tonight, but they had to win by more than 23 points to jump the Orlando Magic and guarantee their spot in the quarterfinal playoffs. And they accomplished the goal. They finished the game finished 124-97. But the idea behind the in-season tournament was to try and make some of these regular season games more valuable. Yep. And this is from the NBA perspective. All of us skeptics, including me, believe it was for ratings, but I don't think that's been the big deal. But I do think it made a completely irrelevant fourth quarter very relevant, because like soccer playoffs, goal differential, They found a way to make a 30-point game in the fourth quarter interesting and competitive. And so, we'll see what happens in the quarterfinals and what goes forward. But I guarantee you that game and that moment will be what the NBA decides to try and show you as the in-season tournament being a success.
Yep. Yeah, see, I'll look at it a different way. I think the NBA did all this because their TV contract ends and they're trying to get a new TV contract. The only way they're going to get a TV contract is if people watch the games. This play-in tournament has only averaged 1.5 million viewers. People still ain't watching these damn games. It was 1.27 last year. So it's a slight uptick of almost 300,000 people. I don't think the NBA is going to get the kind of money that they thought they were going to get on their next TV deal based on this play-in tournament. Now, it is interesting. I will say that it is interesting, and they have to get players to care, to get networks to pony up money, because we've talked about this before. TNT and ESPN were upset that they're not getting the viewers for the NBA, and they overpaid for them, which is kind of why ESPN is losing money. So we'll see what happens as this go. Actually, I do want to ask you a question, Brian.
I think you just argued both sides of it. No, like you said, you said that the reason for that the problem was they couldn't get people to watch in regular season games.
Right.
Okay. This was the first shot across the bow. This is the first time it was done.
Right.
And they're going to have moments like this to point to where, next year they'll figure out a way to market it a little bit better. Like they should say, watch the game tonight. Boston has to win and win by 30. Instead of the coaches talking about it there, it'll be the ESPN promo loading up to the game. Yeah. There's ways to do that. So, again, they wanted to find a way to make regular season games more important to matter. Mm-hmm. I think they found a way to accomplish that. We'll see if them having accomplished that has the result of them getting a similar or better deal.
Better TV, we have to see at the end. Yeah, I just don't think having 270,000 more viewers for these what you call them in-season tournament games is enough, but we'll have to see. I mean, we'll find out later, but I don't know. We'll see. But the players do seem to care. Seems to be a good thing. They know what's going on.
How many games the Lakers can win?
Man,
they're 4-0 in in-season tournament games, and then they have the worst loss in LeBron's history by 44 to Philly the night before. In-season.
It wasn't in-season game, right? Exactly. Wasn't the play-in tournament, right? That's right.
Philly's out, by the way. The Indiana Pacers are in the in-season.
And Philly whooped us
from Group A.
Yeah.
Philly whooped us terribly the other night.
Yeah, they will whoop us again too if we play them. But yeah.
Anything else before we get to the last two?
Nah, I'm good. What about you, B?
No, I think it's no.
All right.
Hats off to LeBron for now surpassing and taking over the lead in most minutes played. Kobe, I think, is fourth. Obviously, Kareem was second, and I think Karl Malone was third.
Nuts. All Lakers.
Wow. Yeah.
Word. So last two segments. Brian, it was your segment you started, man. You started with saying something was a bunch of hogwash, and we turned it into a weekly segment some months ago. What do you got?
I have so many to pick from this week, but here's the one. I am dead serious. Like the refs have been some on some BS. But here's the one that kind of I think people will also find interesting. What's hogwash is what Sports Illustrated has recently been caught doing. So a friend of mine sent this to me, and I live in the world of tech, obviously. Sports Illustrated was caught by a publication called Futurism, having generated multiple articles over the last several months by AI, including giving them author names of people who did not exist and publishing them. Futurism figured out what was going on and figured out that these were AI generated, put out an article, and then all of a sudden Sports Illustrated removed all of these articles. And these articles had some impactful topics, one of which was kind of a hit piece by about Caleb Williams and his how he had quit in the middle of the season on the team, was not interested in playing anymore, might decide to sit out for the rest of the games, would not play in a bowl game, which obviously wasn't exactly flattering. And to come to find out, that was one of the articles that was written by AI that Sports Illustrated published.
Damn.
And that is a bunch of hogwash that more people do not understand how craptastic that is. My days of reading, or it's been over for a long time. But I think Sports Illustrated just put their leg in the coffin.
Yeah, I didn't even know Sports Illustrated was still out.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Crazy.
that's crazy.
Yep.
Oh, damn. Wow. My hogwash, I'm going back to Brock Purdy on my hogwash. What I hear and what he has to go through to me is absolutely ridiculous. He hasn't played 20 regular season games yet, and people are trying to compare him to Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or whatever. These guys have been playing the league for years. Let this whole Brock Purdy thing play out first before you start comparing. I mean, plus he only makes $800,000. He's in year 2. People are already talking about what are 49ers going to do when they have to pay him. They only have to pay him to the end of year 4. Let him play out, see if this is consistent, see how good or bad he is, or whatever the case may be. Just slow down on all these comparisons. I mean, these other guys are pretty much established franchise quarterback veterans on other teams, and Brock Purdy still hasn't even played 20 regular season games yet. So just cool it on the MVP and all that other type of stuff when referring to Brock Purdy. That's all. I just don't get it. I don't see no other quarterback that's played 15 games being compared to all these other guys, but whatever. That's what it is.
That's a good point.
You want to crown his ass.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Right.
I'm mad. Okay. Mine is also another, well, he was a former Bay Area player, but mine is directed toward just the basketball of Jordan Poole. I don't know if y'all have seen anything dude is doing, but bruh is on some hogwash. Yeah. Bruh's out here like he's Steph shooting shots in the corner, turning around, looking at the bench, clank, behind the back, pull up, clank. Walking the ball down when it's the end of the game and they're down points, just letting the clock run, not understanding the just basic basketball stuff. And it kind of looks like you see why the Warriors were ready to, even though they paid him to get him up out of there, and probably why Draymond socked him. So his play, man, it's hella hogwash, bro. If you watch any of those clips, it is hella funny.
Yeah, I think the Wizards, I believe those articles when they say that the Wizards are looking to deal him in the offseason because they thought he was going to bring some type of vibe to the team, some winning mentality vibe, and that definitely ain't it. He's all about himself. Himself.
It was obvious if you watch the games here. He was feeling himself crazy, but it's going to be easier to overshadow when you have Clay and Curry there. Like, it just is what it is. So, hella hogwash. The play of Jordan Poole, you know me, I'm not personal. Hey, God bless him and his family, but the play, terrible.
Yeah. On that.
Last segment, minute to win it. Chance to say anything. Mine is real quick. Shout out to Alabama State, the first HBCU with their own golf facility. I think that's dope. So I've been seeing a lot more HBCU golf. Howard's been coming up with Steph Curry, following my school's golf team, etc. It's cool to see golf getting, picked up and a little bit more established in the HBCU lifestyle. So that's mine.
My minute to win it should be Hogwash Part 2, and that's to athlonsports.com. The Howard University basketball team played the Cincinnati Bearcats. Howard should have won the game, but it went to overtime, and I think they ended up losing by 6. The reason why I'm talking about it is because athlonsports.com has the game Cincinnati Bearcats versus Howard College. Where the hell is Howard College, and who the hell is that? The Howard University, not college. I didn't understand that. Whoever wrote that article probably needs to be locked up and beat to death. I don't understand how you put the Howard Bison up there and talk about Howard College. I don't know. That kind of got me. I don't understand that.
It feels, it's kind of grimy.
It
has some undertones. It has some undertones.
Yes, it's disrespectful to say Howard College. I mean, seriously. But
it's literally the quickest Google ever.
Right. Cincinnati is not playing any colleges with the last name.
It's not difficult. I'm with you.
Yeah, so that's mine.
2 things real quick. I just want to say rest in peace to Charlie Munger, who is the namesake of the law firm I work at. He passed away this earlier today. He was obviously, I was in the office and got the first text, and then was just flooded with phone calls and texts and emails just asking, about that, because he was obviously the namesake of the law firm that I work at. But he was also, a real estate investment titan. He, founded Berkshire Hathaway with Warren Buffett, started a law firm career, decided he wanted to live on the West Coast, made tons and tons of great investments. But ultimately, he had a modest $2.3 billion net worth at his passing. It was a relatively interesting guy. I only was in the same space with him one time, but he was an important element of our law firm, and so rest in peace to him. The other thing is that I wanted to point out to a lot of folks just how great a story it is that we were able to have I'll put this in air quotes, truce between Hamas and Israel over the holiday weekend, where several in the tens, I want to say it was 30, 40 on per side of prisoners and hostages were released. I do think the nomenclature of prisoners and hostages is important, and to use those words strategically. But just to see that they were able to do that was heartwarming. There was young kids that were reunited with parents. There was just a couple of good moments, and hopefully they can do that. And then one more rest in peace to Rosalind Carter, who also passed away during over the long weekend. She was the wife of Jimmy Carter, who had been on hospice himself for quite some time, and even today while on hospice, showed up at his wife's memorial ceremony, whatever.
Respect. Got to do that.
Okay.
Man, respect. Word. Thanks, B. Always coming through. Thanks everybody for listening. Sports Counterpoints podcast. We'll check y'all next week. Peace.